My man Greg was out at Gillette today. He was, I'm sure he had did you have the binoculars out, Greg? Did you have those?
Of course.
Of course you did. Of course you did. Did your binoculars catch what happened to Cam Newton? Because everybody started going crazy today on Twitter about this injury to his throwing hand. What did you see? What do you know?
So I did not see the actual injury. What happened is that since I'm just so in tune to the special teams and what's going on, I have to know what's going on there. I was watching the far field where they were doing they did a lot of special teams in this practice. And on the near field, the quarterbacks were working with like assistant coaches, ball boys, what have you, on footwork drills against pads, against other things. And suddenly I didn't see Cam actually walk off. What caught my attention was I was looking through my binoculars and surveying the scene, and I saw Josh McDaniels talking to Bill Belichick, and Matt Patricia was sort of trying to hang in on the conversation from behind. And that struck me as odd because I knew the quarterbacks were doing work. What's McDaniels doing over there? And then all of a sudden he sort of scampered back over. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, okay, now I see Cam. He's with the team doctor. He's with Jim Whalen, the trainer. He's looking at his right hand. And to me, what it looked like, and everybody sort of had a different viewpoint on this. What I saw through my binoculars was they were paying special attention to, in my opinion, if you're watching the video right now, this sort of region of his hand, sort of like the knuckle in your hand.
Like the webbing of it? Like
no, the actual probably like, your knuckle on your right finger, if you make a fist.
Okay.
That knuckle right there. So that's what I saw. It could have been a thumb. I don't know. But look, he sustained some sort of injury to his hand. Cam was not happy about it. Sat out the rest of practice. What was interesting is they didn't like put ice on it. They didn't take him away. He stayed on the field. You could tell his demeanor definitely changed. He was not happy. He was not feeling the rest of practice. He was kind of a little ticked off, probably annoyed. And that was it from Cam. Now, I think there's been reporting since then. Karen Garrigan said no break. I think I just saw that Ian Rappaport said that Cam Newton suffered a slight bone bruise today at practice, banging his hand on a helmet. Not considered major at all. But since it's the spring, we may not see much more of him until training camp. I think that's the most significant thing. I mean, first of all, it's not considered major at all. Yeah, well, it's going to take them out of. They have practices next week,
right?
Then they have OTAs. They had the mini camp. That's significant. I mean, it might not be a major injury and threaten his season, but for a guy that we've talked about for months, going back a year, about all the excuses that were made for him, certainly by some people internally with the Patriots, that, oh, well, Cam Newton didn't have this, and Cam Newton didn't have this opportunity, and Cam Newton couldn't be on the field. Well, here we are. He has a chance for a full offseason, and now this happens. And to me, that's the most major development of this. I mean, we don't know. He could be back next week. It wouldn't surprise me. It didn't look major, and that they didn't put ice on it or take any drastic measures immediately after the injury tells me that it's not significant. But if it keeps Cam off the practice field, I think it's a major development for this team, for Cam Newton, because I think it opens the door for Mac Jones. And I think that's the most significant thing out of this Cam Newton injury.
And we'll get into Mac and how that might affect his trajectory now moving forward. But I just want to throw my 2 cents out there regarding Cam. You can imagine why he was a little angry, why he was upset, why his disposition changed when he was at practice, because as you just said, he knows what he just went through all last year.
Mm-hmm.
He told people how tough it was. And I'm sure he wanted this OTA period to go as perfectly as it could. He wants to stay healthy. He wants to do everything that he can do to try to win this job. He wants every single rep. So any kind of injury that takes him out of the mix, even if it's for a day, a week, a month, he's going to be upset by it. So I actually like the fact that he was upset by it, because it does again show that he's a competitive guy and he wants the damn job. Now that he's out, as you said, who knows how long, if Rappaport is right, if he's out the rest of the way here until mandatory minicamp. You look at Mac Jones, And this is a golden opportunity, Greg, for Mac to step up and say, okay, the door's open. I'm not only going to walk through the door, I'm kicking that damn thing down.
Yeah, absolutely. And I thought it was interesting. So when McDaniels went over to Belichick, look, we don't know what they're saying, but to me, my guess was, well, all right, well, Cam's out. How do you want to handle reps from here on out? And what I saw was Mac Jones suddenly was QB1. And I think that's significant that
Yep.
they decided to, give the rookie. Now, that being said, I think it's fair to say that Mac Jones didn't exactly take the ball and run with it today. And he did not have a great day. I thought Jarrett Stidham was by far the best quarterback on the field, and good for Jarrett Stidham. Who knows? Maybe the light turned on. But I don't want people to get alarmed by this. And I'm going to write a column on BSJ. This podcast will probably come out after this, so our members can read that first. Putting this into context. Now, what people need to understand about today's practice, and this is my opinion, I don't have a practice script. I haven't talked to any of the assistant coaches, so I don't know what the design of today's practice was. But in my opinion, from watching NFL camps for 20 years, to me, it seemed like today was a very blitz heavy day for the defense. So it's whenever that happens, whether it's OTAs or training camp, it's always a rough day for the offense. I don't care who the quarter. I've seen Tom Brady have terrible days against, a lot of blitzes from the opposition, from the defense, and especially when you consider, all the continuity that goes on defense, and they are missing a ton of people. But when they lined up out there, you have Lawrence Guy, you have Godchau's out there. You have Chase Winovich is out there. You have Kyle Van Noy. You have Jawan Bentley. You have, cornerbacks who have been here. Kyle Duggar's out there. Jalen Mills is new. But you have a defense that knows what they're doing, as opposed to the offense where you don't have either your starting tackles, which was a big problem today blocking. You have all new receivers. You have basically a new tight end. You have running backs out there who are J.J. Taylor and Tyler Gaffney, pretty much. So and you have a new quarterback. So it's going to be a challenge. And I think today was one of those days, and you see this sometimes. And look, Bill Belichick and Josh McDaniels both talked up Mac Jones this week in meeting with the media, especially Belichick, the morning of that practice. And what I read into it was, and we talked about it last week with how good Jones was and how good he looked. What Belichick said was, look, basically everything that we're giving him, he's taking in, and he's doing a really good job with it. And I think today was one of those days where they were like, you know what? Let's throw a little bit more at the kid. And that he didn't come through with flying colors. And it wasn't bad. I mean, I think I saw some of the stats, because I don't keep stats in these. 8 of 11, but most of them were checkdowns. But against a blitz-heavy scheme with no base, they're not running the ball ever. At most, you're doing play action. So advantage defense all over the place. That he's taking the checkdowns, I'm sure they're fine with that. I think, when you're dealing with a rookie quarterback and they're like, oh, hey, you recognize, all right, we don't have anything, or this looks hairy, just dump it down. That's what we're going to do. That's what he did at Alabama. So that Mac Jones didn't elevate himself today is really of no concern of mine, Nick, and that Jarrett Stidham did a really nice job. Good for Jarrett. And, maybe now it's clicking, but I don't think that anybody listening to this or any Patriots fans out there should be alarmed that Jones had a bit of a rough day. It was advantage defense. It's going to happen. I don't think it's a big deal. Now, let's see what happens next week. If he gets the ones reps without Cam Newton there, and he's still kind of struggling a bit, then we have cause for concern. But I think that Mac Jones, with the book on Mac Jones, I think they threw a lot at him so that he could go further. They threw a lot at him so he could see it on film tonight, over the weekend, then come back next week, make the adjustments, and he'll be better from that.